Welcome to the Wealth and Love Blueprint, where love meets logic and money reveals the truth.
Have you ever been in a relationship where it feels like you're just constantly pouring everything you have, all your love, all your energy, into a bucket that just has a giant hole in it? If that sounds familiar, I want you to know that what you're feeling, it's not your fault. You've probably just found yourself in one of the most confusing and draining situations a person can be in. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the real psychology of a partner who has this bottomless need for attention. And we're going to figure out why your love, no matter how much you give, can never ever seem to fill them up.
This feeling, gosh, it's just pure emotional exhaustion, isn't it? It's like trying to fill up a cup that has no bottom. It's more than just tiring. It's this deep, sinking feeling of helplessness. It's that exact moment when all the hope just drains out of you, and you're left asking yourself this one impossible question: what more could I possibly do?
But hang on, here's a thought that might just change everything for you. See, you've been working under this one big assumption, that the problem is about your love or a lack of it. But what if that's completely wrong? What if their endless need for more has absolutely nothing to do with you and everything to do with some kind of invisible wound deep down inside of them?
When you're in this dynamic, you get trapped in what I call the cycle of confusion. And it's not just a simple pattern, it's a full-blown emotional vortex. It's this dizzying, disorienting loop that's designed, a lot of the time unconsciously, to keep you just a little off balance. And always, always focused on them. So let's break down exactly how this trap works.
Okay, let's see if any of this sounds familiar. The phone buzzing nonstop, not really for a real connection, but just for confirmation that you're still there. The quiet moments together that don't feel peaceful, but feel like a threat to them. Or how about the small disagreements that just explode into these massive world-ending dramas? Look, these aren't random behaviors. They are tactics. Tactics in an unconscious war to win your attention, designed to pull your focus right back to them, no matter the cost.
And this cycle? Oh, it is ruthlessly effective. Because if you're a caring person, you start to internalize it all. Their neediness starts to sound like your failure. You start hearing that voice in your head. Am I not doing enough? Am I not loving enough? And pretty soon you're walking on eggshells, constantly editing yourself, all because you've been tricked into believing that their emotional state is somehow your responsibility. But here it is. This is the single most important truth you need to hear, the one thing that can actually set you free. This is not a problem of love. It's a problem of wiring. The constant attention-seeking you see on the surface, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's really going on is deep below the surface, a hidden wound from their past that no amount of your love today can ever heal for them. So to really get what's happening, we have to become something like emotional archaeologists. We need to dig deep into their past, down to the unseen blueprint for love that was created when they were just a kid. Because what's happening in your relationship right now, it didn't start with you. It started decades ago.
Just imagine being a little kid for a second. Sometimes your parent is warm, and they're present, and they're loving. But then, other times, for reasons you can't possibly understand, they're cold or distant, or just chaotic. What do you learn from that? You learn that love is dangerously unpredictable. And as an adult, that fear translates into a desperate search not really for love, but for certainty. Every single text, every "do you love me" is just a frantic attempt to nail down this feeling that has always felt like it could vanish in a second.
In psychology, this is often called an anxious attachment style. And honestly, the best way to think of it is like a faulty smoke detector for relationships. A secure person's alarm only goes off when there's a real fire. But for someone with an anxious attachment style, that alarm is just constantly blaring at the tiniest hint of smoke. A text that's replied to a little too late, a slight change in your tone of voice. Every demand for reassurance is just them frantically trying to silence that screaming internal alarm.
Now, this childhood blueprint creates another, even more dangerous problem in adulthood, a complete and total dependence on external validation. Picture their self-worth as a bucket. A healthy person learns how to fill their own bucket from the inside. But for them, that skill was never developed. So they rely entirely on you and others to fill it for them. And here's the really tragic part. The bucket has a hole in the bottom.
And this creates this vicious, addictive loop. It all starts with that hollow feeling inside, that I'm not good enough. To fix it, they desperately seek attention, a compliment from you, a like on social media. And for a moment, that gives them a temporary hit of validation. But it's like a sugar rush, right? It feels good for a second, but it doesn't last. Soon enough, that emptiness comes roaring back, and now they need an even bigger hit just to feel okay again. The cycle doesn't just repeat itself, it escalates.
And here's what's actually happening inside their brain. Every single time you give them that reassurance they're craving, their brain releases a little hit of dopamine. That's the same chemical that's involved in drug addiction. They literally become addicted to your validation. At a certain point, they aren't just seeking your love anymore, they're chasing a chemical high that gives them a fleeting escape from their own inner pain. But it's just a fix, not a cure. It can never, ever fill that void.
So up until now, we've focused almost entirely on their psychology. But now, we need to talk about the person who's paying the price for all of this, you. Because while they are trapped in their cycle, you are trapped right there on the other side of it. This is the point where love stops feeling like love and starts feeling like a job you can never clock out of.
And this is the slow, quiet toll it takes on you. It's not one big event. It's a gradual erosion of who you are. The emotional exhaustion, that's just the beginning. Your own hobbies, your friendships, your very identity begin to fade into the background as your life becomes consumed with managing their emotional state. You're not really living your life anymore. You're just playing defense, trying to prevent their next crisis. And underneath it all is that corrosive little whisper, I'm not enough.
And all of this leads to a pretty brutal realization that just reframes everything. You're not really in a relationship anymore. You're in an emotional supply system. You've stopped being their partner, and you've become a function. Your purpose is no longer to share a life together, but to provide a constant, steady stream of validation, just to keep their internal world from collapsing in on itself.
So the logical question, of course, is, if it's this bad, why stay? Why on earth is it so incredibly hard to leave a situation that is so clearly draining the life out of you? Well, the answer isn't weakness. It's because you're caught in a very powerful psychological trap.
So here's how the trap works. The lows are absolutely terrible, but the highs can be intoxicating. When they feel secure, even just for a moment, they can shower you with a level of passion and affection that feels like the ultimate love. This is a psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. It's the exact same thing that makes slot machines so addictive. You just keep pulling that lever, hoping for that jackpot of affection to hit again. And over time, you start to make a really dangerous mistake. You confuse their intensity with intimacy, but they are not the same thing. Intensity is about their need. Intimacy is about our connection.
So, how in the world do you escape this cycle? Well, it doesn't start with trying to change them. It starts with a radical decision to change yourself. It means you have to make a fundamental shift. You have to choose your own emotional well-being over their emotional chaos. It's all about reclaiming the peace that's been taken from you.
If you remember nothing else from this entire explainer, please remember this. It is not your job to fix someone's internal emptiness. You are their partner, not their therapist. You are not a repair person for their childhood drama. And the hardest truth of all, you cannot love someone hard enough to heal a wound that only they can reach.
Just look at the difference here. On one side, you have healthy love. It feels calm, secure, it's built on trust, and it encourages you both to grow. It comes from a place of fullness. And on the other side, you have this dependency. It's chaotic, demanding, built on constant reassurance. It creates codependency, and it comes from a place of pure emptiness. And when you see it laid out like this, side by side, the choice isn't just about happiness anymore, is it? It's about your survival.
So what's your path forward? First, it starts with recognition. You have to see the behavior for what it is, a psychological pattern, not a measure of your love. Then you build a wall, not to keep them out, but to protect yourself. These are your boundaries. You decide what you are no longer willing to do to manage their anxiety. You learn to respond to their chaos with your calm. And finally, you have to give yourself permission to step back, or even walk away, if the cost to your own soul just becomes too high. From now on, let this be your compass. Love is not a performance. It's not a debt you have to repay over and over again every single day. Real love, the kind that actually lasts, isn't loud and frantic and demanding. It's quiet. It's calm. It just is.
And finally, I really want to leave you with this. After everything we've talked about, it all comes down to one simple, fundamental truth about your own worth. You deserve a relationship where your presence is enough, where you don't have to constantly perform or prove yourself or exhaust yourself just to feel loved. Because you, just as you are right now, you are the gift.
By aligning your heart and your finances, you unlock true growth. Subscribe to Wealth and Love Blueprint.